Good morning, my wonderful students. How you all doing? I hope you all are doing well. I sincerely want to appreciate everybody that has been so consistent with this channel. Thank you for watching my videos. Thank you for subscribing. And thank you for keeping the good works. Today, the topic for today is NFP news. The topic for today is NFP news. Then I'll just find little time to also talk about trade stopping. The topic for today is NFP news. What is NFP news? NFP news is non-farm payroll. I repeat, what is NFP news? NFP news is non-farm. NFP news is non-farm payroll. I repeat, non-farm payroll. Now, if you look at the slide, I have bio. Just a minute. Now, NFP news, like I said, it's usually traded every first Friday of the month. I think I've once said this once, that NFP news is usually traded every first Friday of the month. And this pattern of trading NFP has been so beneficial to a lot of Forex traders. This particular pattern of trading NFP has been so beneficial to a whole lot of Forex traders. Now, NFP is usually a news that is launched based on the Bureau de Change. You know, the Bureau de Change of the United States, they will give out a certain statistics that, okay, employment will increase for a period of time by maybe 350,000 spaces or something. There is an increment, there will be an increment in employment. That is the expected value. Now, when NFP news is launched, let's say NFP news is launched and we have almost like 450K, or we have almost like 500K, that means it has even gone above our expectations. Are you with me? That means it has even gone above our expectation, meaning that the employment rate in that country is very okay. Meaning that what the employment rate in that country is very okay. Now, most cases, when NFP occurs, so many people have asked me that, Mr. Gospa, when NFP takes place, how can I successfully trade NFP? Most cases when NFP occurs, I always tell people something. If you are in a trade when NFP occurs, if you are in a trade, let's say probably, okay, I didn't tell you the time, NFP occurs every first Friday by 1:30 p.m. NFP occurs every first Friday by 1:30 p.m. Now, if before 1:30 p.m. you are in a trade and that trade is already in profit, I advise everyone to please close that trade in profit. I advise everyone to please close that trade in profit. Another thing, if you are in a loss and NFP is about to occur, if you are in a loss and NFP is about to occur, do you know the best thing to do? The best thing to do is for you to remove your stop loss. How can you remove your stop loss? You can make your stop loss 0.00000. You know, let's say you are buying Forex market, where you have your take profit. That's your TP. Your TP has a value. Your stop loss has a value. Of course, your TP will higher than your stop loss when you are buying. Now go to your stop loss, modify on MetaTrader 4. Go to your stop loss. Change that stop loss to 0.00000. Are you agree? Change that stop loss to what? 0.0000. Now, once that is done, it means that NFP, it means that you have successfully removed your stop loss. So even if the trade should go against you, you don't have to feel bad because it will not strike your stop loss. Now, I've always noticed something about NFP from experience. NFP usually occur a certain period of time, then later the market stabilizes. I repeat, NFP usually occur within a certain period of time, and later the market stabilizes. Now, if NFP should occur after removing your stop loss or probably you close your trade, let's say now I'm not in a trade. If NFP is occurred, my best advice is that it's better for you to wait for the very first 15 minutes. How you do? Wait for the very first 15 minutes. I think I have a chart to follow up on that. Just a minute. Wait for the very first 15 minutes. After you wait for the very first 15 minutes, you can now make your decision. Just a minute. Okay, this is it. Set up your chart on 15 minutes time frame. I repeat, set up your chart on 15 minutes time frame. Number 2, take no action for the very first 15 minutes after the NFP announcement. Take no action for the very first 15 minutes after the NFP announcement. Step 3, wait for an inside bar to form the high and the low of the. I will explain that on my. I will do a podcast on that. Wait for an inside bar to form the high and the low of the inside bar becomes trade trigger. Now, step 4, place a stop loss above or below the most recent high. The stop loss exceeds. If your stop loss don't take the trade, okay, let's proceed. Now, from that little analysis I've given you now, NFP, once you notice that, okay, NFP is about to come up, maybe probably I've closed my trade in profit and I want to benefit from NFP, this is what you do. Set your time frame on 15 minutes time frame. First thing to do. Now, for the very first 15 minutes, don't take any action. Don't enter the market as a buy. Don't enter the market as a sell. So once you have done that successfully, now you will notice that right here, when you have a long candle, let's say after, okay, let's make it a blue candle. Let's say after this has formed, after the trigger, the blah, 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 the shaking of the market has occurred, let's say you now get here. Once this occurs, now let's say this trade triggers and all of a sudden an inside bar forms. Remember, I only placed one line there and later I discovered that an inside bar forms. Just a minute, please. Once an inside bar forms, an inside bar is more or less like a, what do I used to call this shape again? Okay, I told you in one of my candlestick classes that this is what they call the hammer. Yes. And this is called what they call the shooting star. In one of my advanced classes, this is what they call the shooting star. Now, there's something they can call the reverse shooting star. You can call that that inverted bar or that inside bar a reversed shooting star. Once this has occurred, which is your reverse shooting star, what do you do, class? Immediately that has occurred. Now come here and set another another line. That line should act like a resistance. You know, I have one stop to support and okay, I don't know if this should be a beginner's class. In my advanced class, I spoke about support and resistance. Now, once this occurs, what do you do, class? Somebody might be asking, how many pips can I actually predict and all of that? Once this forms, the T forms, after this line you have created, you know, this has gone up, you have placed your line, and this T forms. You can just set something like a 10 pips between this and the resistance. So once this occurs and you see a blue candle shooting up from here, class, what do you do? Immediately enter the market as a buy immediately. Enter that market as a buy immediately. Most cases, when NFP has just been released, the buy in that situation seems to be very massive. Last week, Friday, I profited from NFP. Last week, Friday, I profited from NFP. The buy will be so massive. But what if the reverse? Now, as regards the stop loss, you know, I've always been announcing to everybody, I'm a man of 50 pips. After the whole situation, you will now come here and set a 50 pips below your entry point. You know, your entry point could probably be your first line, which is the support. So many people like to trade the 20 pips, 30 pips. I always advise them on something. You need to give this market room to swing. Are you with me? So once that has occurred, just enter the market as a buy. You can, but I always advise you when you are trading NFP, you can just target to 20 or 30 pips. Please don't go and target 100 pips. It's not as if you now get to 50 pips. Market start reversing with very long candles and you now start getting frustrated. Just go with 40, 30, 50 pips. This life is not difficult. Take what you want and leave the market. Now, what if the reverse is the case? Reverse is the case in the sense that after this bar formed, what they call it, bearish candle start forming. Bearish candle start forming, it breaks through the support, go for the same 20, 30 or 40 pips. Go for the same 20, 30 or 40. Somebody might be wondering, what is the exact pips that is advised? Like I said, I just give you a range of pips now. It depends on what would be okay for you. For me, I wouldn't have gone more than 20 pips because I hate it when the market will be in profit and the market start reversing. Most cases, should I pay something, class? Whenever I set a profit, probably let's say for instance, I set $20 and $20 has not occurred. I mean, probably I'm seeing something like $18. I mean, what's the difference between $18 and $20? That's something that seems to, I know there's difference to $2. That's something that is very close. I'll close my trade in profits. Are you with me? I'll close it into profit. So that is that for NFP. So that is that for NFP. You'll probably be wondering, how can I set a very good alert? Or how can I know when NFP is coming? I don't know if I've taught some of you in this place, but there is actually a site I use. I'm launching it. There's actually a site I use. And that site is, what they call it, my FX book. On my FX book, I will just go to the economic calendar. Just give me a minute. On my FX book, I'll go to economic calendar. fxbook.com. Once I get there, I actually spoke about economic calendar. Immediately you get to that section, you will see that the news, one reason why I love my FX book, that even takes me to news trading. The latest, when you see something like an highlighted bar, I will explain that to you. And see what I mean by highlighted bar. If you observe, you will see that you see something like October 14, 0530, October 14, 0530. You can see JPY, 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 22 minutes, 22 minutes, 22 minutes. Do you know what all these things, those ones that have been ticked, like the time left, those ones that have been ticked, they are simply news that, they are simply the news that have occurred already. If you check their dates, the date is 14th. This one will occur in 21 minutes time. If you come to this page where you have capacity, utilization, MOM, you notice that you have 21 minutes at the base. This shows that very soon this news will launch soon. I will come back to this news. There's something I want to say about it. It will even benefit some people here who trade life accounts. I'll come back to that news. Sorry, it will not benefit you. Because as at the time I'll talk about this, it would have been ahead of 21 minutes. So, but don't worry, you can still look out for opportunities. Like I said, the news that will be launched will be highlighted. Just you have 3 news highlighted. Let me now start. Now, my FX book. My FX book is just, news trading on my FX book is just so simple and sweet. It's just so simple and sweet. How? Right now, I have previous, I have date, time left, the news, event, impact, previous, consensus, actual. The news is, for many of us here that like news. Me, I don't like news. So I read news briefly, I make analysis, and I leave. That's me. That's me. Are you with me? For some of us that like news so much, impact is the most important thing to capitalize on. First, impact is the most important thing to capitalize on first. What I'm trying to say here is the impact is always of 3 phases. 1, low, 2, high, 3. Sorry, 1 low, 2 medium, 3 high. 1 low, 2 medium, 3 high. Now, what you should capitalize, you see, low is like, for some of us that know a bit about science, when you have a low impact, an impact in science is like a blow. When I mean a blow, you take hammer, for instance, you use hammer to tap a metal. It will compress when you apply a low impact. When you apply a medium impact, the medium will be higher than the low, and the high will be higher than what? Than the whatever, the boat, right? So a high impact is the drive force that has occurred in the forex market. The high impact is the drive force that occurred. That's why we always look at the eye. When you come to the eye, now look at this class. For this eye, if the eye is the consensus is the given value. Now, if the eye actual is greater than the low, look at it, the previous is the low. Let's say we are talking about AUD unemployment rate, high 4.5. If the actual, which is 4.6, is greater than the previous, class, enter that market as a buy immediately. I repeat, enter that market as a buy immediately. It means that at that point, the market is actually buying. Now, how can you enter this market as a buy? I repeat, if the actual is higher than the previous, you enter that market as a buy. But if the actual is lower than the previous, you enter that market as a sell. Even you'd have noticed that you see something like blue rectangles and pink rectangles. That blue rectangle is an indication that the market is going on a buy. Now, somebody will be wondering, how will I know if AUD is actually going on a buy? Let's go to my chart. I told you AUD is on a buy. On AUD, which seems to be on a buy, you know, this thing can be of two things. It can be of two things. Number one, it can be let me use another marker. It can be AUD JPY or AUD USD. You know, AUD is the base currency here. If you go on AUD USD, class, go as a buy here immediately. Because AUD is the what? The base, and USD is the quotes. Now, if it is GBP AUD, GBP AUD is a big, I love that currency pair. In fact, it's a major currency pair, and it's so wonderful. I know what I mean by when I say it's so wonderful. If you trade that currency pair with $500, you make good profit on it. The GBP AUD, enter this market as a sell. Why? Because AUD has gone the other way. Look at it. And that sell will be coming from the quote. You can see that when you are news trading, you can benefit in two ways. You can benefit when the currency pair is on a base. Sorry, I said when the currency pair, when the currency is on a base, and you can benefit when the currency is a quote. Please don't ever enter AUDUSD as a buy and you enter AUDUSD as you said. I never said that to you. Thank you. So that's that. Now, let's look for high impact. Let's say probably, oh, today is even Thursday, tomorrow is Friday. So let's look at now, if I were you, for the next one, you can even see, for some of you who love to test run, I repeat, for some of you who love to test run, you can try the low and the medium, but the ones that are more certain is the high. Just look at these three good opportunities, which will come up tomorrow. Is it tomorrow this thing will even come up? No, it will come up later. It will come up around 8 hours, 15 minutes time. 8 hours from now is 8 hours from now is about 2 p.m. probably 2 p.m. to 3. Yeah. So from 2 p.m. to 3, watch out for these three impacts. I. Now, one thing about it is when the market is not launched, you will never say anything about the action. But once the market is launched, you now start saying, is it lower than the previous? Is it higher than the previous? So if that kind of thing occurs, assuming when it comes out, it is lower than the previous, what do you do? You enter the market as a sell. But if it's higher than the previous, you enter the market as what? As a buy. So that is that. I think I've really, I want to believe that I've really helped you when it comes to news trading, and I've talked about the NFT news. My next topic I want to talk about is trail stopping. Some of my students told me that I should take trail stopping, and I decided to add trail stopping to NFT news. Question now is, what is trail stopping? Question now is, what is trail stopping? Trail stopping, I think this will even, okay, trail stopping is when, for instance, you are in a trade. Let's say probably this is my entry point, and this might take profits. And this is my stop loss. Now, let's say, you know, I told you one day class that whenever you're in profit, let's say you are buying. When you're in profit, the market passes the entry point, it starts going up. Let's say you're in a trade, and God forbid, the market starts consolidating. When a market consolidates, it means there's a pullback. When the market starts consolidating, what do? You know, probably, let's say you have an entry point of 1.8000. Then let's say you have a take profit of 1.87000. Now, once you have the trade like this, if your stop loss is now, stop loss will be lower since you are going on a buy. Let's say your stop loss is 1.800. So what do? Because I don't want this trade to come down, I will move my stop loss above my entry point. I repeat, I'll move my stop loss above. See, when I mean move, I don't mean go to your chart and take lines and use your hand to transfer. What I mean is, if on your meta trader 4, the take profit is 1.87000, the stop loss is 1.8000. So what do? You now go to your meta trader 4, click on the currency pair, click on modify, then you now change that stop loss to, that stop loss will now have a new value of what? Let's say probably, in between 1.87000, 1.85000, there's a difference. And the difference is the fact that the stop loss will be above the entry point. So the value might be 1.8600. So looking at this trade, once this trade comes up and it misbehaves, let's say when this trade was misbehaving, we're actually on $20. So once this trade comes up and misbehaves, it goes down. It will slash the stop loss. Once it hits the stop loss, guess what? You finally go home with something. You don't need to feel bad because your stop loss was only struck above your entry point. Your stop loss was what? Struck above your entry point, and you might just gain $12, which is still something. So thank you very much, class. I sincerely appreciate you all for watching my videos, and thanks for subscribing to. God bless you. Like I said, once you subscribe to this channel, you always get awesome videos like this. Sometimes I might just decide to help some of my students. I will just put in some videos that will be beneficial to them. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Good morning one more time. See you some other time. Bye for now.